All right. Welcome everyone to Boulder Insight's March edition of 2021 Tableau Live session. We're super excited that you could join us. This is where we answer your Tableau questions and data analytics questions live on the spot to try to help you get to the answers that you need to with your data questions. And we want you all to become your own Tableau ninjas, being able to slice and dice your data and get to the answers that you need in order to do your work. And so with me is my boss and colleague, Chris Cox, as well. We'll be taking your questions. I also have another colleague on the call, Timo, who may also be answering questions too if something comes up. So just know he's one of our consultants and certified desktop trainers. So he and I might chime in from that side as well to questions. So if you have a question that you want to ask, I'm putting in the chat again our boulderinsight.com questions form. You can use that anytime, even when you're not in one of these sessions. That goes directly to a question Slack channel, and we do our best to try to answer your questions for you here in Tableau Live. And if you need questions answered sooner than that, just let us know. And we do our best to try to support our Tableau community in the best way we can to get your questions answered as soon as possible, if we can. If they're simple enough, if they take deeper questions, we often will have you schedule some time with us to be able to do that. So we do have a question. You can use the chat as well to put in a question if you don't want to use the form, or just come off mute today and ask your question. But we do have a question from Eric from Minnesota. I've sent that to you, Chris, in the channel. So let me actually read the question so everybody knows where we're at and what we're trying to answer here. And so Eric is not able to join us today, but he emailed me in advance because he cannot use Google Forms at his company. He uses healthcare data that's sensitive. So you can always email us the question as well anytime by replying to our email. So Eric out of Minnesota is asking us, I have a dashboard with 3 charts simply providing the count of the following record types in relation to multiple industries. And I'd like the user to be able to change the year with just one filter. See attached example. So Chris has that. The problem is that all 3 have their own created on dates. Leads, opportunities, and appointments are the 3 areas. I was thinking I might need a parameter, year of data, and related case statement to solve this, but can't get it right. Am I at all on the right track? And then he created a case statement that he put in the question for us. So I'll let you take it from here, Chris. I don't know that we have to necessarily put his case statement.
I'm actually, I'm not going to use the case statement because I had this exact same problem with like a different client.
Which is not uncommon, everyone, in this. Yeah, that if you are having a question or a struggle, just know that it's probably something with over a decade of doing this. Chris, actually, we often talk about Tableau years and the version that you started working in. Chris, what did you start in, version 2.0?
Yeah, actually, funny enough, I found this the other day that I just had laying around.
Tableau 6.0. Wow.
Yeah.
I started in 8.3. That's my version, Tableau version, but that's funny that you had.
Let me share my screen. So this was the data set he sent, and I'm doing something really quick to it to make it how we're going to need it. So can I make this? Oh, because I'm in a formula. There we go. All right. View. Okay. So this was the data he sent, just the things in blue. So what I'm doing, I'm adding a year to these. So this will be, leads year. And then I'm going to add opportunity year. And then kind of made it bad on myself. And I'm going to go appointments year as well. So I just did a quick formula here. I'm just trying to make this fast. So just to make these dates random. So once I have that, yes, of course, I'm sure. And so now it'll just randomize. Hopefully if I did it right. Yep. So, all right. So a quick way to get just some fake data. So it looks like to me, he's got, why didn't that taste all these? All right. There we go. Okay. So this is one data set, I believe. That's probably the worst color I could have chosen. Let's do them. We got a blue data set or a blue set of data. We've got this one, we'll call it green. And this one is another color, is maybe orange or something. Okay. So these are the different data sets he has. He has three different years. So you're not going to be able to make this work perfectly. But what you can do is, if I open up a Tableau, if I even have it open, I know if I even have open up a new one, because I have no idea what state of affairs any of this other stuff is in. Let me stop sharing for a second because I don't know what's even behind here. Sorry. File new. I should open up one before I started. Okay. Good. Back to sharing. And okay. Share. Okay. So I just grabbed this data set. I'm just going to paste it in. Do an extract of it really quick, just so I have it. Okay. So yeah, it's fine, wherever.
So Chris, did you just say you did an extract really quick?
I think I did.
You did. So one of the practices that we don't always teach when we first start training, we teach with live connections. The first thing Chris started doing when I moved into consulting was, oh, it's not doing the extract. All right.
Wrong
how about that? That's okay. Don't worry about it.
Well,
but that's a best practice that Chris often recommends from a performance standpoint.
I didn't need the OK button here. That's weird.
Yeah, that is weird. Anywho, no worries, but just a best practice tip for y'all is to extract it when you can.
There we go.
Okay.
It was just too wide, it looks like. Okay.
Gotcha.
All right. So what needs to happen, because I've got through 3 different years. So if I wanted to, this is all going to work. Industry is going to work. My my opportunity, my leads, and whatever else. So what you have to do is, I'm going to duplicate this one for a second. And instead of leaving the data source this way, I want to do what's called a whole pivot. So I want to look at the lead year, the lead year, opt year, and control and app year. And I want to have these pivoted. Okay, so now I have a pivot fill values, which is my year. So rename as a year, and pivot fill names, I call it year type. Okay, so if I needed to get back to it, I'll make that be a little better. Year type. Okay, so now with this data set, I now have my year, which now I can filter on if I wanted to do that. Okay, show all values. Show filter. There we go. So there's my different years. We could make it an actual year, but now I can do the same thing. So my industry, my opportunity, my leads, and whatever else. So now if I wanted to see only that 1 year, then that's going to filter down. It should have changed. Yeah, they're hard to see, but they did change. Let's go down to store 1, 2021. Let me make this better. Let's do this. Don't do it this way. Let me make this a dimension. So all values. Okay, and discrete. There we go. That's better. Okay. Show filter. All right, so there's our different years. So if I wanted to say, single value drop down, I want to see just the 2019, it's just 2020, it's just 21s. So that's really it. You just need, if you want to have filter on one, you just need to change your data so all of your dates are in one column. I think that makes it really easy. And then if you did want to, if you needed to get down to the year type and say, hey, I only want to look at a certain type of year, I want to look at apps year, then you can do that. So these are the apps years that are only for that one year. Those are the apps years that are only for the 2. Or if you don't care about the type, you just want it to be all years, then you just take that out. Does that make sense, Heather?
I think so. Yeah, I think that's what Eric was looking for. As I'm looking at his question, he just was saying the problem is that they all 3 have their own created on dates. I think that solves that, right? I think we've.
Yeah.
Yep. All right. Well, Eric will be thrilled. I told him I'd email him if we had got time to answer his question today and let him know that we'll be posting it to the YouTube channel. So that is pretty awesome. Thanks, Chris.
Eric, raw data, and Eric, pivoted data.
Perfect. That's great. And that's also a really important concept that Chris did quickly is, depending on the way that you're looking at your data and the questions that you're answering, a pivot could be really powerful to do. So Chris, I don't know if you want to touch on when you often pivot the data and when you don't. Austin and I were just talking about, some of those things yesterday in one of our meetings for lessons for clients that we want to make sure we
Yeah, it's really hard to know when you need to until you kind of get up against a problem. Probably the most time I will pivot is so it's really common to want to do math going across from column to column, right? So we typically like to have our data sets wide, but you so that makes all of your calcs easy, because I could take column A and like divide it by column B. That makes it simple. The problem is that if it's things that you need to do something like filter on, say for example, if let me show you a different example here. Let's go back to, where was Eric's data? I have no idea. Should have been behind here. Let me see if I can find it really quick. I don't see it.
I think it might be one of those Excel sheets you had there, Chris.
Sure. I've got a bunch.
Yeah, gotcha.
I'm just trying to quickly find it. I don't know where it is. I've got too much stuff up, but I should have cleaned up before I started this thing.
Hey, that's all right. It happens.
Sorry about that.
No worries.
I've got 3 screens full of stuff right now, but okay. Still, anyway, so for example, if say it, instead of the data being written with having industry be in its own column, if I had a column for industry A, column for industry B, and column for industry C. So actually, let me try to find that Excel file, because it would be very helpful if I had it. Why would it not be? Because I probably did it on a, let me stop sharing for a second. I'm just going to try to find it, because it's got to be here. It's not that one. I've got a bad habit of just doing a new sheet on any existing Excel file I have open, just being lazy. And for things like this, I can't share everything, so it doesn't make sense.
Yeah, we have to always be careful with client data that we don't want to share things where we have NDAs for. But no worries, Chris. We have another question that came in, so you can look for that. And I asked Timo to take this question in our chat, so in our Slack channel. So the question came in from Gary. And Gary, I don't know if you want to come off mute and ask it yourself, or if you'd like me to read it. So either way is totally fine.
You know what?
I think I'll read it.
I got it.
Okay, you got it? Okay, we'll come back to this question, Timo. So stay tuned, Gary and Timo.
Okay. So I did find it. So if your data set, let me go back to sharing. So on the pivoting, if your data set was, instead of being laid out like this, I'll just repivot this one in kind of the wrong way. So like, for example, if I had, just leads, so I'll put it over here. So if I did, so if my data was laid out like this, where I have a, I have industry A, industry B, industry C, whatever else, right? So if it's laid out like this, I can still do, I can still make the same graphs. So a lot of times you'll have names of columns that'll be here. Well, and I could pull that in, and it would look right. Let's say extract, and we'll call this one wide data. We'll leave it with the Eric theme. Eric wide data. He's gonna love this. Oh, that's why it's hiding behind that thing. There we go. Okay, so I didn't rename. Okay, so in this situation, I can still make this graph and I can tell you what all these are, and I can take out the industry and I can get them to sum up for me. I could say I just want to get the total. We can get the total. So I can get the total of all those, right? So the problem comes in is that, you know, I could, but I can't actually tell you, but I can do this. I can give you the total. I can give you the, you know, the different ones that's it's actually in. The problem comes in is that with having measure names and measure values, because I don't really have a dimension. So if I was trying to click on C to pivot, to pass in that dimension of C and pivot the data to change to something else, then it wouldn't work. So you can make the same graph, or it just looks a little bit rude, actually. This data set. Data set's kind of you give me the finger.
I feel that. I feel that. No, I know Eric personally, and he is not giving you the finger right now. Yeah. So another reason to pivot is that you don't want rude data. So
you don't want that. But yeah. So the same thing. So if I was to duplicate this data, I wish I had more data in here to show what a pivot would look like. But you know what I'm talking about adding an action to one of these, and you want to click
dashboard.
On B. On a dashboard. You click on B and it transfers. Well, with this model, you're not going to be able to do it. You need it laid out with we have the industry being deep, and so that's kind of how we started with it. You know, having it like this. So these I could click on because that's a dimension, right? So I can click on industry B and it's going to pass that B. Versus if it's wide, I can click on the B and it's not going to do anything.
All right. Thank you, sir. I just think knowing what people understand that pivots are an option in Tableau, but I don't know that our clients and students always know why to pivot. So that's super helpful to kind of understand the wide versus tall data concept. So we're super excited. Gary is with us from Michigan today. And Gary's question, I think Timo is going to take this one. Our company will be upgrading to 2020.3 from 2019.4. What are some of the top new features in the 2020 release that we should focus on? And Chris, you're welcome to chime in on this too. And curious about Viz animations, but also any other recommendations. So Timo, I'll hand that off to you. And Chris, maybe you can pull up the animations dashboard while he's doing that, and we can show that too. Thanks, Timo.
Sure. All right. So are we seeing my Tableau website?
We sure are.
Okay, cool. All right. So great question, Gary. Thanks for chiming in with that. So there is kind of a few big changes. A lot of the stuff, let's see, I was double checking relationships version. I'm not sure if that was the last quarter of last year. So you may have relationships already. But this is one of the bigger pushes that Tableau as a sort of mindset is trying to change, is they're moving away from joins and they've started pushing heavily into what's called a relationship. And without opening a whole can of worms, it comes down to this concept of where the connection is actually being made. Is this the one that has the little image that I like to use?
Looking
no.
for the logic and physical layer. Yeah, I know which one you're talking about.
Yeah. So it's basically changing how we are looking at data connections so that we're not changing it at a table level before bringing it into Tableau. We still allow you to treat each table sort of independent of each other until you need a row level connection that's made through this new thing they're calling relationships. So I'm going to leave it sort of high level because we could probably have an entire section on relationships for a different Tableau Live, but I'll put this into the chat to the link of this document that I'm showing here. Other than that, I pulled up our release notes that we get directly from Tableau for training, and you sort of nailed it on the head. Viz animations is a new big piece. Dynamic parameters is something that I've turned out to have really enjoyed this new feature this year. and we can now export our dashboards. So I know they're doing a lot of sort of under the hood updates with these new versions. And one thing too is when you update from a year to a year, you're going to tend to, I think, have an easier time sort of moving around within the individual changes they do in that year. So if you guys are moving towards 2020 already, that's great. With Viz's, Viz animations, I know Chris may be pulling something up, so I'll leave this kind of high level as well. But here's a quick dashboard of different movies that have been put out and by what studio and how much money did they gross worldwide. And so if you watch, when I click on Disney or CBS, it's just sort of changing the color of the image. When I click on like independent, it's just changing the bar chart. And so this new Viz animations, you would go to format, and then there's this option now in the new version for animations, and you can turn on how you want the animation to be run with different settings. So you can make it faster or slower. You can change the style. Actually, a really cool example, I didn't pull it up. I have this sort of motion graphic dashboard that was sort of clunky before, and now it looks really cool with animations. But for this example, now if I click on Disney, you see it kind of like, it kind of moves, and it's graphically animated now. So if I click on Disney here, you kind of see the, here, I'll slow it down. You can see it, it kind of moves. So neat. It adds in a nice element to how you interact with dashboards, but it's not functionally, going to change your data analysis. The other one is parameters. So
I do want to stop for a second, Gary. It only works if you say zoop like Timo's doing. So if you don't do that, it will not work. So I just want you to know. That's
it. So with parameters, we now have this option to create a parameter. And I've used this recently with a client of ours. They have a list. So I pull in a string in my parameter, and I'll pull it from a list, and I'll tend to want to utilize a data source, right? And so in your older versions of Tableau, all you have are fixed. And so if I wanted to make my parameter off of, let's do lead studios, I can get a list of all those lead studios, but in your old version, it's fixed. And so what the situation with my client is, if we took it to like this movie data set, is they are consistently having changes in the field that we call on this fixed value. So let's say this lead studio field was very sort of volatile and it moved and changed. Their scenario is actually managers over certain accounts. And so if one of those account managers leaves the company or they hire new account managers, this field value list changes. And what they have to do is they then have to come in and manually update the parameter to pull in those new changes. What's new in the new version is this option here. And it says when workbooks are open, we want to pull in. So I'll switch this to my field of my lead studio. And now anytime my workbook opens, my parameter list queries the database and queries that list that's related to the field of lead studio or whichever one you're using, and it'll update the list. So for us, we're using this parameter as a way to sort of break down a view and look at just specific values that are associated with that one person. And it's really kind of a pain for them as a bank to have to then manually update that when everyone, when their account managers change hands. So that's a huge one. I think that's really great because that new one, now they don't have to worry about that. That parameter just updates by itself.
The only thing with that, Tim, and I was looking really quick to see if it had been updated, and it looks like in 2020.2 2, it may be. So maybe after that. But the issue is that is set to whenever you open the workbook. But if you have it published to server and the data changes, the workbook's not technically opening. So I know in some versions that even the data changing behind being automated by Tableau server, that you would expect that parameter to change on the data changing, not on the workbook opening. I think workbook opening is a fine thing, but you need to be able to publish it and then kind of forget it too. So I'm just not positive that it does that on all the versions. So just to maybe do a quick.
We should test that. Yeah, we should test that out.
That's great. That's great feedback. And we'll talk about this offline, but that's critical because this current client, just so you guys can think about, your use cases, this person uses them as workbooks, but their intention is to move to the server. So Chris is really eyeballing an issue that, today is not a problem, but next month might be. So, it is a good point about how our iterative thought processes and problem solving, you can sort of find yourself needing to rethink the use cases. So great feedback there, Chris.
Love it.
Yeah.
And Chris, do you want to, Timo, anything else you wanted to show? Those are some of my favorites.
The only thing, I wasn't going to show it, but the only other thing was this exporting the dashboard. And there's some minor UI changes and naming changes. But I think what you'll find is when you move up to the new version, you'll have things that are now available to you, but also the way that Tableau releases. Sometimes you didn't even know you had something from last version. Like last year they released parameter actions, they released a few other types of actions, and if you didn't explicitly take a class and get taught it, you may not always know all the cool little things that are in the releases. So,
and we don't always know when we're teaching. All of a sudden we'll open up a panel like that parameter. Timo and I were like, whoa, what's that? Update when workbook opens. Like we hadn't seen that before. But Timo, can you go to the desktop upgrade page and just put in 2020? Like Timo was saying, Gary, the big changes happen from 2019 to 2020. And then there's a quarterly release, typically like a 2020.2, 0.3, 0.4. So 2021 will be coming out. When the 2021 comes out, there'll be bigger changes, but you're definitely going to see the big change with the data source connections from 2019 to 2020. That's when relationships were introduced. So that was the biggest shift, but oftentimes they'll, publish some of the different features and things in it. And as they upgrade to the next one, you'll see what issues they've resolved. But you can often, get some pages on the website about what are all the new features for this new version. So does that answer your question, Gary? Do you have any other thoughts you'd like us to talk about?
No, that's very helpful. Thank you.
Awesome. Hey, Chris, do you want to show the dashboard with animations too that we have permission to share? I know that's a
and I was
big data.
Run a quick test on that other problem too, just to see. So yeah, I'll share. I've already started working on that.
And while Chris is doing that, we don't have a lot of questions in our chat or coming through the training questions. So if you have any, now's a great time to put them into the chat for me and I'll get those queued up. So thanks, Chris. Sorry to interrupt there.
No, you're good. We're going to try it a couple different ways. We'll do it live, but I'll go back to the animation since that's kind of the first topic. This is one that we typically share that I think looks pretty good with the animations involved. Is oops, there we go. So yeah, just same thing like Tim was showing. Just click it. It just does a little bit of movement to see where things are, see where things are moving. So it's just kind of an added feature, but it doesn't really. I think what Tim's example is probably a better one because like I'm not moving anything. Like his was showing how these two small things in this in this tree map becomes big. So you now see that they are small in kind of relation versus if it happened on a quick filter, then that wouldn't show. But this dashboard here does that same stuff. It kind of does all those animation pivots, which is neat. And I believe it works on mobile too, the same way. So yeah, so even if it's on actually mobile, it'll still work and do the same stuff. So which is cool. But anyway, so I go back to the test for the parameter. So I quickly made a Google Sheet. I'll show you that. So I just put a column called customer name, and I put in a few customers. So started, and I pulled in this sheet. So if I said, okay, I want to create a parameter called customer name, and I want to do a list, and when workbook opens, I want to do it from, it's not giving me my field. Why is it not giving me that? I don't have my sheet 1 dynamic parameters. It's only giving me my other ones. Maybe it has to be at extract, maybe. That's weird.
I think you might, do you have to have it set from a
I have a
field already? You did have it set from that field?
That's what I was going to do. So,
yeah.
So list, add from values, but it doesn't list that data set. So that's
isn't that interesting?
So I wonder if not all, I guess not all data sets would work from that. Maybe I just happened to choose Google Sheets. Let me cheat.
We could open up Timo's and you could take over his screen if you want to try that.
We'll do it right here. We'll do it as I'm going to save Eric's file. I'll just save this somewhere local. Yeah, it's not going to work because I need to save it to the drive at some way, shape, or form, right? So I guess I have to have some sort of database to really test it out. I don't think we can do kind of justice here. I can keep trying, but I don't know that this is going to necessarily work. Because my next thing I'd want to do to make sure the server can do the upgrade or can do the refresh is I'd want to go new data set and Google Drive, which may still have the same. Come on. Wow. And go and Google Drive, Boulder Insight, to file, and that's modified on there. Okay. All right, so sheet 3 is what we want. There's our customer name, extract. Okay. Save. All right. So now let's try to make a parameter on this. I'm gonna get rid of this guy just so we're not a mistake. So this one, customer name, it's all coming in. If I want to create a parameter, list, add values from, it does not list the thing. So, so yeah, it looks like, so yeah, so I don't think, I mean, so it looks like to me that if it's it's only going to work from something local, at least that's what it's looking at like right now, which is somewhat helpful, but if it doesn't do it from the server, I don't know what actually good is it.
Well, we will have
that's a bit of a catch there.
We will have to play with this feature a little bit and see if we can see if there's a solve for ones that are on servers. So stay tuned. We will see what we can figure out on that part. That is why we call it Tableau Live, because we're solving the problems live with you, and doesn't always go down the path. The path
I guess this shows that we really don't use this feature.
Yes.
Neat. We don't use it.
Well, great. It looks like Christy has a question. And Christy, do you want to come off mute and ask it, or would you like me to read it for you?
Oh, I can ask. Kind of embarrassed about my question.
Don't be embarrassed. There's never a stupid question with Tableau. I once had a student come in my class and say, "Hey, I heard Tableau makes hard things really easy, but easy things hard." It's like, sometimes that's true. And dates are one of those things that are tricky in Tableau. So I know you're going to ask a date question. So go for it.
Okay, so I want to build a calendar to track days I run. And so say I run 14 days a month, each month for 3 months. When I'm building that calendar view, because I just want to see like a visual on the days I run, will Tableau, is it smart enough to fill in the number on the calendar on the dates I didn't run, or do you need to have all 365 days in your data set?
Yeah, I mean, so it does have a couple of features that I don't know all the rules of when it works and when it doesn't. I'm gonna try really quick. So let's say I've got your rename days to run. So let's just say we've got 1/1/2021 to 1/2/2021, and we'll grab a couple of these, right? So this is it, and we'll do this. And I'm going to delete a few in the middle, right? So delete the 11th and 12th and 13th, and I'm going to copy these up here. So we have a gap in the middle, maybe if I can.
Yeah, or just like, can you just delete some random ones? So it's like the 5th, the 12th, 21st. I mean.
Yep. So 21st, gone. I don't like that date anyway. 28th, out of here.
Perfect.
Okay, done. So I'll just delete those. And so we have this. So delete and delete. Okay. And then date and runs. Okay.
You can just do like 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3 to make it easy if you want. Oh.
Oh no. Oh no, we're gonna make it right. All right, now we got some random data. All right, so there's that. So I'll pull that into Tableau. Make an extract, just so we don't lose it. And call it, what was it? The runs by date. Okay. All right, so we have all these in here, right? And this is how it looks, and we see the gaps. So 9, 10, there's nothing here. Sometimes Tableau will do show missing values, and it will actually fill those in actually for you. So now I've got the 1/5 was not in my data set, but it's null, it's blank. These are all there as well.
Where did you do that show missing volume?
Sorry, I can only actually show you once. That's
oh,
it.
I found it. I found that button.
Dang it.
Well played, Christy. All these sessions you've been coming to are paying off. You're
well,
getting
first
there.
I went in. I had it on the text, on the marks card, and I had it on the rows. So you can't do it on the marks card. You can only do it on the rows.
Well, there you have it.
Figured it out.
You can't fool her, Chris.
I tried. So yeah, so that's now I have seen on occasion where I click that and it doesn't do what I think it's going to do. So there are some rules I mean, really me doing this right now was just kind of a gamble. I didn't know if it was going to work or not. I actually do know that if it's at the end of your data set, like say for example, if we deleted the if we don't have anything to bound it, right? If we don't have an end date, so if you're missing the 3rd, it's not going to show it.
Okay.
Right, because it didn't fill in anything else, but it doesn't know if that's the end of your data, or if you should have it, right? So that kind of makes sense. So it can typically fill in any gaps, but you've got to have but you can't say, oh, I want to fill out the entire year without having an end year date. Now I wonder if we put down here 12/31/2021, we'll give that a, oops, I got a crazy mouse problem. I'm scrolling. Give you some runs here. So 999. So I believe if I do this one, I don't know if it'll fill all that in or not. We'll find out. So extract data. Of course, I'm sure. Let's see. So show missing values. So it actually did. So as long as I had a date on the end that says, hey, this is my end date. So as long as I have a beginning and end, it's going to fill in anything in the middle.
So I tried some, and it did a lot of them, but didn't do all of them. So
That's strange.
now I just have a big mess on my screen.
Well, the
Hmm.
good news that I know about Christy is she is the winner of last month's Tableau Live free time with
Alright.
you, Chris. So maybe we can solve that
Yeah, we can.
on
This is
Tableau.
a precursor to our meeting, Chris.
I think so. Just a little teaser here.
Yeah.
We'll be working on.
Right.
Because I know you can't share your screen. Christy works in the healthcare industry, and you're here in Colorado, and so she can't show her screen. So that I know that we can't help her solve in that. So I don't know if anyone else has a question to share. Please put it in chat in the meantime while you're doing that. So it's kind of fun to see all the different places who are joining us. So we've had Minnesota put in a question, Michigan, Colorado. We have some folks from California today that are joining us, and from Missouri. So oftentimes we've had a lot of Colorado folks when we first started doing these, because we're based in Colorado. Chris is actually in Charlotte. We have offices in Charlotte and Boulder. So it's fun to see that we're reaching more. Rafaela is asking a question. You said earlier that you had a student. Do you give lessons? I'm looking at getting the certificate, but I don't know where to start. Great question. Yes, we do. So we actually do everything at Boulder Insight, from Tableau Consulting and Services and Tableau Server to a whole team of trainers that are certified to teach Tableau. And we can absolutely, there are courses that that we teach on behalf of Tableau public courses, but we can also do private, coaching with you if you want to schedule some of that. But I know we have Timo back on here. Timo, I'm going to tap you again if you're available. Timo just took the certification exam again. We have to take it every 2 years as to remain certified as trainers. And there's a great website that Timo has found that we've all used, that we'd be happy to share that. That's been a great place to start. And then I will also pull up just the certificate information from Tableau too. But Timo, I don't know if you want to share the Tableau Learning website. That's been super fun for us to work from.
Yeah, I'll be happy to. Will you just pull it up on your screen?
Yeah, let me do that.
So I just passed my 2 years with my last certification, and it's a 2-year renewal for the certified associate is what they call it. Heather is one step above me as far as certification goes. She's a certified specialist, and I believe hers is a 3-year certification. So you do have to maintain your certification for, in our case, as trainers, we're required to, at a bare minimum, be certified as an associate to even teach. It's a mandatory requirement. So it is a 2-hour-long test. Yeah, that's the right page. It's a 2-hour-long test. It is proctored, so you have to have your webcam on at all times. You're not allowed to leave the camera. You're not allowed to walk away to use the bathroom or to get any water or anything like that.
Which is a real struggle. That struggle is real. Every time I have to take these exams, for whatever reason, I have to pee every time. So watch your intake of fluids before the test. It's a real thing. You cannot.
Heather reminded me that.
Yeah.
It's very good because
it's dry in Colorado, so we hydrate a lot here. So we have to be careful.
So it is proctored, but it's I think it's like 36 questions or 50 questions. And they're going to have you in Tableau to do it. So if you are comfortable with working in calculations, you're comfortable with working with different, different use cases of the program, you're probably well on your way. Yeah, perfect. You're reading my mind here, Heather. So the certified associate is what she's pulled up here. Tableau gives you a little bit of a pre-test and some information to prep with, but it's fairly high level. And I think they give you 3 test questions.
Now there's a little more on this one. The 3 is the certified consultant exam.
Oh, that's the other.
Yeah.
I have
so many certifications we take.
But they do give you a little bit of a freebie test. Actually, Heather, if you'll scroll up to the percentages of the breakdown of the test.
Yeah, this is helpful.
Yeah, they break it down into certain sections by certain, weighted values. And so if you feel like you're not good at one of these sections, that's definitely where we would suggest you do some practice and do some preparation. So the program or the group that Heather was pulling up is called learningtableau.com. We don't have any relationship with them. We just use them when we need to prep for our tests. And they charge $20. They give you 3 practice tests and they're full-size tests, and they have a timer when you actually turn on the test. So it mimics the testing environment, and it has the same weighted values of the questions. So you can really be prepared. If you're not a partner, I think it's $250 to take the test. And if you don't pass the test, you have to pay again. So it's really good to take the time and just be prepared for that when you're ready to go in. One huge lesson that I learned, actually, I'll give you 2. I'll give you the good lesson, and I'll give you the kind of
Hard one.
I was going to say the easier one.
Oh, good.
So as a user of Tableau, the tip I would say is when you go into your test, something I was telling Heather recently, a lot of the times in my practice tests, when I get the wrong question, it's because I tried to use filters or I tried to use view level calculations to get to my answers. And it would change depending on the view, certain things would change. And so a lot of times in the testing environment, when they say they want to see boys from 1990 to 2000, what's their first letter of the most popular name? I would try and do that with filters and it would be wrong. And then I do it with calculations where I'd actually pull out boys and I pull out a year range and it got more accurate. So that's one tip, like a real hard tip that I learned this last time. The easy tip is you're allowed to use Google. Okay, you're not allowed to use applications or books or
paper
anything on your paper. You can't write down notes, but you're allowed to use Google. So when it gets to the hard stuff where it's like a very strong, just like a knowledge-based question, it's not a calculation, it's not a visualization, it's just literally in Tableau, does it do this or that? Google it. If you don't know, just Google it.
Wait a minute.
And that can be a lifesaver.
Was I able to do that on my recent?
Not for the consultant exam, only for the certified associate.
I'm gonna be,
yeah.
I mean, that's still fast, but
yeah. No, right?
Chris is like, dang it.
Yeah, no, that's only for the certified associate, not for the certified consultant. But sometimes it's a question straight from this exam. So you can actually go to this exam and know that the answers to these questions are here. So that's, but that is something, timing matters and pacing for the certification. So you don't want to spend too much time on a single question. I also recommend that when you're building out your workbook to answer questions on the certified exam, that each worksheet is numbered for each question that requires you to build out a visualization. So you can always go back to that if you need to, if you're stuck on one. So just, that way it's really clean and organized for you. Like, oh, I struggled on question 5. Let me go back there. And you can mark it in your exam when you want to go back to a question too. So just a few tips and tricks. Timo and I have to do more exams than the rest of the team as trainers. We got to keep upping our exams every couple of years. So, and it's one of those things we're getting better and better, and just, it's really true not to drink a lot of fluids too. So one of those pieces. They also do have here some other links to support for learning resources in the exam guide too. So we've put the links in there as well. Any other questions from y'all? I have something fun I'm going to show you if not, but I'd love to answer a question if you have one. All right. So in the chat, I have put the link. This is something we've been working to get to. We've just been so busy with client work. We haven't had the opportunity to get these recordings that we've been keeping in the and get these up to our YouTube channel. So Timo has been a guest star today on in this call. We've been, you've been hearing his voice and listening into him. And Timo and Kev did a lot of this work. Kev and Timo worked together as a dynamic duo, and Timo got all of this up this week. So we're super excited to be able to share this with you. We're still working on time stamping everything, but last month's episode is already, oh gosh, time stamped. So my volume's up pretty high. And you'll see that we have these in here, and you can skip to the different areas. So Timo's done a really great job of saying, here was the question, and this is what we covered in it. So that will also be coming with the other one slowly by slowly. We'll get those there, but no, February is good to go in that regard. So this link we've put into the chat for you all, and just anytime you can't attend, but you have a question, you can do what Eric did. You can fill out that Google form or email me. I know some companies aren't allowed to use Google Forms, and we'll try to get to that question and we'll record it, and then you can come back and check it out. So, and I'm seeing one new message that's here. Well, timestamps, yeah, absolutely amazing. So, and can't imagine how long that must take, Timo, she's saying. So, yep, thank you, Christy. It is some time and effort, and we're so grateful that Timo was able to take some time to do that. So I'll stop sharing my screen. We have loved having you all here. Please come back anytime. This is always on the first Friday of the month, unless there's a holiday, and it's the same Zoom link. So you do have to register each time that each month when you do it, but we love staying connected with you all. We started these in July of last year because, our world had shifted and changed, and we were missing seeing our clients' faces, and just thought this could be a great way to bring this to the community. So please bring your questions. If you have them, other people in the community have them too. And we love connecting with you all each month, and it's fun. It's to see new faces coming back. This is something we used to do at our Boulder Tableau user groups, and we haven't been holding those as much lately. We certainly can't do them in person still at this time, but we used to call it Stump the Chump. So for those of you that came to Boulder ones, you can guess who the chump is. It's not me. So I'm just Tim right here. This is the chump. So anyway, if you want to try to stump our chump, you're welcome to do that. Send us your questions. I did put that question link in again. It's boulderinsight.com /questions/. So if you have the questions, we got the answers. And if we don't have them, you'll see us struggled right there with you, and know that you're not alone, and that we'll try to get to those together. So have a great month. Reach out to us in the meantime. Otherwise, we'll see you in, I can't believe it's March. We'll see you in April on the first Friday of the month. Take care, everybody.
Thank you.
You are so welcome. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.